Hello all YouTubers, CW here. I decided to do a video about Declaration of Independence of a nation. For the past few years, there has been two regions in the world has been fighting for independence to be own nation. Two of them are Catalonia and Scotland. Scotland has been tried at least a few years ago, but majority of the sign was no. And even Catalonia had tried for several times to become an independent nation from Spain. But recently when they tried once of some sort of public voting, but the government in Spain declared their voting as illegal. It was a fighting against the constitution of Spain. The process itself to become an independent nation, well, it is kind of hard not getting talking with other nations. Since early 1950s, after the Second World War, a lot of countries around the world were still under government of like France, England, Germany, and UK, for example. Those areas want to be independent. Since the 1800s, UK, France, and Germany, they consider this as the three biggest colonization of Africa, for example, and India. Since 1947, India became independent nation from UK. Even many of those areas were still under government of those nations. But after the World War II was over, there was a new order, new peace world, for at least for many years. But anyways, most of those countries fought for independent nation for a long time. Some of those could be end up in civil war, which could last for years or even decades. But most after the Second World War was over, it was declared that a new order, all the colonies which the major nations had formed under the last almost 200 years, was going to be decolonized. All the colonies will be removed, and after that, those areas became independent. But even many of those countries are still fighting about some areas. The process itself to become independent nation is quite long. Sometimes it can take a few years. But even those other nations sometimes don't declare as independent. For example, one of the historical events were when the British colonies in America, late in 1700, they fought to become independent, but it took several years before England declared the United States as an independent nation. Then after that, there was later 1800 when we started to colonize most, well, Africa, Asia, South America, but it took years for many of them to become independent. For the last past few years, there has been at least a couple of new countries in the world, independent nations. One is South Sudan, which they entered into a civil war. Even many other nations, well, areas and regions are also fighting to become independent. But sometimes that even can last for years, even to be accepted. The process itself might take time, but to become an independent nation might even work. There was one region between Sudan and Egypt that was not declared by any nation. So a military a millionaire, a rich man from America bought this area and named it to North Kingdom of North Sudan. But it has no population, no cities, and nothing. It's just a barren wasteland. But he's going to use that land for work. One of the regions in the world who is fighting to become independent nation is Scotland. Historically ways, Scotland once was an independent nation, but later, a few hundred years later, it became a part of United Kingdom. But back in 2014, Scotland tried to become independent for voting, but the majority of the sign was no. And there now has been searched for a second attempt to, or at least for voting. But if they would be accepted, is how wait to see. And if there are any people who are watching my videos from Scotland, I would actually voted yes for Scotland to be independent, even if I was a Scottish. But if someone was from Britain who is taking this as an offense, I'm sorry, this is my own opinion, of course. The second region in the world is Catalonia in Spain. Catalonia has been trying for several times to become independent, but the government in Barcelona in Spain has been rejected and even claimed to be against the law of the constitution in Spain. But even they now are trying, they are actually going for a vote in October this year. Even they has been suspended by the government of Spain not to do it, since the day has been declared not as illegal against the constitution. But the people of Catalonia don't listen to that. They're still going to do this even the fight against constitution. And if I wasn't part of citizens of Catalonia, I even would vote yes as well. And if there are any Spanish people who listen to my videos, I'm sorry, that's also my own opinion. But there's another nation in the world who has been, well, relatively new nation actually. For next year, it's going to be at least 10 years when this nation became independent, and that is Kosovo. Kosovo was part once of the Ottoman Empire and then Serbia. The Kosovo tried to be independent, and they became declared as independent nation in 2008. But still, there are a lot of other nations in the world that not declare as independent nation. But there are others many who do declare Kosovo as an independent nation. Over the recent years, most of other nations in the world, like Kosovo, have tried and managed to win and became an independent nation, like in Sudan, South Sudan, and now we're Scotland and even Catalonia is trying to become this independent nation. Will they ever be independent nation? For example, Scotland once was an independent, but will it be a new, or will it remain in United Kingdom? Since it has been part of United Kingdom for at least several hundred years. But Scotland, well, Scotland has this very rich history and culture, from the Picts to the Vikings and the Romans and the Celts. The Scottish people of Scotland has a very rich history that dates back several thousand years. And from that time they were small kingdoms, later reunited as one kingdom, but later became part of the United Kingdom. Will Scotland even be an independent nation, or will it remain in the United Kingdom? All we can wait to see if the United Kingdom if the British government accept the Scottish second attempt proposal for public voting. One other country in the world was not never been an independent nation, and was actually Finland. Finland was part of Sweden for several centuries, from late 1250 to 1809, when Finland and Sweden lost Finland to Russia. But even Finland was only part of Sweden's empire or kingdom. They never had their own king, only Swedish kings. But only what one part after this there became at some point only but 1 year they had a king. But the king then decided to step down and became as part of Russia, but later became independent. And this year, Finland is actually celebrating this 100th anniversary of independence since 1917. And that would be a great celebration in Finland and probably around the world, which many people has either Finnish descent or even who's migrated from Finland. And even Sweden has a large number of Finnish population, either from third or second generation. Myself, I am actually, well, I think it's the second generation in Finland, Sweden. So, if you viewers or fans have your own opinion about if Scotland and Catalonia could be their own independent nation, and what you think about, well, if there is any other region in the world that should be as independent nation, please you can leave it in the comment box below, and as always, then please subscribe, leave a comment, and as always, this is Swedish over and out.